The EU's demand for greater fishing rights, we shouldn't forget these unresolved issues, this storm brewing in the North Sea, an issue so contentious, frankly, that Brussels and Westminster seem reluctant to cast their nets too far into the waters of public discourse. The EU, true to form, has reiterated its no cherry-picking stance, demanding an early deal on fishing rights as a precondition for broader border negotiations and for broader negotiations about the relationship between Britain and Europe. The current agreement, due to expire in June 2026, has seen EU fishing quotas in UK waters gradually reduced by 25%. However, Brussels, led by Markos Sefcovic, insists that continued access to these lucrative waters must anchor any new trade discussions, and France, the ever-vocal defender of its fishermen, leads the charge. French officials have reportedly linked all trade negotiations to guarantees on long-term fishing access, and this comes in the middle of Britain's concerns that Labour, eager for a broader trade reset, might concede too much. As Starmer courts Brussels, many British fishermen fear being left adrift yet again. It's ironic that it was on the backs of the fishermen that a lot of the Brexit promises were made, and the fishermen have been hung out to dry, not only by the Brexiteers, but now, of course, by the resetters. The EU's demands are hardly simple. Beyond fisheries, the EU's wish list spans migration, youth mobility, tighter alignment on regulations, all tied to its overarching mantra of dynamic alignment. Fishing, however, remains a symbolically charged issue, one that echoes the very debates that fueled Brexit itself. And Brussels' insistence on a multi-annual fishing deal reflects its desire for stability and to call the terms. Yet the UK has argued that such arrangements compromise sovereignty, leaving its coastal communities vulnerable to overfishing and unfair competition. Well, of course. For Labour, the stakes are high. Starmer's government must balance improving trade relations with defending the livelihood of British fishermen, a group that feels deeply betrayed by Brexit promises of taking back control. Starmer has assured them that his administration will not trade away their rights, but the EU's pressure suggests otherwise. And with the Windsor Framework and Northern Ireland Protocol compliance already also on the table, fishing becomes a lever and a litmus test for the broader UK-EU relationship. And the value of the UK's fishing industry, approximately £1 billion in 2022, pales in comparison to the broader trading relationships that are possible with the EU. Yet it carries outsized symbolic weight. Fishing communities, often in economically vulnerable areas, view this as a matter of survival and sovereignty. And having been slapped in the face once with a fish, they're now about to be slapped in the face twice. Meanwhile, the EU plays a longer game. By linking fisheries to broader trade and migration deals, it seeks concessions that go beyond nets and quotas, aiming for a partnership that subtly edges the UK closer to EU regulatory frameworks. And as Starmer and Reeves head to Brussels, fishing rights are more than a negotiation point. They are a test of Labour's resolve to defend national interests while mending relations with the EU. For now, the waters are murky. Brussels' red lines are the only thing that seems clear, but will Starmer hold the line, or will the UK fishermen once again find themselves swimming against the tide? The clock ticks forward to 2026. If Britain yields too much now, it risks alienating the very communities it has vowed to protect. On the other hand, if it stonewalls, the much-vaunted reset may stall before it even begins. There's a point at which one despairs. I got messages this morning from somebody who was saying, is the leadership of both the Labour Party and the Conservative Party, and indeed Reform, so utterly inept? The answer, of course, is yes. Yes. And to that I would add the Lib Dems. This is a parliament which is fronted by people who can barely function and who are reading from scripts or who have been briefed and very badly. It's as if the entire political leadership in the UK at the moment has taken a leaf, the single leaf, the A4 leaf, from the working book, I use that term very loosely, of Liz Truss. They want everything on one sheet of A4, everything in bullet points, everything in simplicity. The problem is, life isn't simple. And these people cannot be bothered to get off their backside, do the hard work, and understand the issues. They want everything in some sort of simple IB format. That in a formula. They want everything in a formula that they can understand. And if they can understand, then they think it exists. No. Life doesn't fit the formula of IB. Life doesn't fit the formula of simple people who aren't prepared to do the work like life fits the formula of people, possibly, who are prepared to put in the time, possibly who are prepared to recognize that things are not always straightforward, and that threats hide behind corners. This absurdity that simplicity is better needs to be hit on the head very firmly. The absurdity that simplicity is better and that tribalism is entrenched. These two things need to be challenged. We don't live in a simple world, and tribalism is ridiculous.